Welcome in, everybody, to the Tuesday Night Football Show presented by Fire and Vine. My name's Jacob Vincent. That's Noah McKay. We are coming up on Week 5 of the high school football season. We're going to recap all of Week 4's action, get you ready for Week 5, and go through so much more, including the UC Top 5. Welcome in. Hopefully everyone's having a great Tuesday night. Hopefully the storms have gone through, and it's a pretty nice evening out here on the rooftop now at Fire and Vine.
It is a nice, and again, the covered rooftop, the lights. I don't know if I've even – I noticed how nice it was, but the little touches up here on the roof are fantastic.
I got distracted last week because they were changing the lights. They can change those fancy lights.
Yes, I'm going to get a spicy scampi when this is over. I mean, what could be a better name? We're going to talk about high school football, and there's a lot to talk about. Probably the best slate we've had so far, Upper Cumberland wide, not even just the broadcast games, in our 5 weeks so far here this season. So really excited, a lot of really good games to get into. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Let's get into it. As we always started off, giving a big shout-out to all of our all-inclusive sponsors for making everything that we do here at UCR possible. Watson Chevy, as you're watching it right here on the Watson Chevy UCR Media Network.
Don't buy till you see Jason Fye.
Mayberry's Furniture, the high school football game of the week presenting sponsor as well. Nelson Trophy and Screen Printing, our longest-running sponsor. Eminence Eagle Auction and Realty. Swallows Insurance. Tee Up in Baxter. Sonia Brown with American Way Real Estate. Nick's Restaurant. Turf Masters Landscape Management, The Real Estate Collective, Livingston Regional Hospital, Fire and Vine. That's what this show is presented by, and that's where we are. The Quality Family, the Crouch Team with Highlands Elite Real Estate, and our newest all-inclusive sponsor as we welcome in Legacy House. Joined us last week. Finally able to give them a shout-out here on the Tuesday Night Football Show.
Yeah, we appreciate Legacy House in Smithville. Great spot. Go and check them out this week. Get your weekend game day fits in. Maybe you're going to go to Neyland and watch Tennessee just obliterate UAB. I hate kickers, by the way. Hate kickers. But Legacy House, a great spot. Fellas, you're going to find some stuff you like. You're going to find some stuff you like for the lady in your life. Ladies, you're going to go in and think you're going to spend a lot of money, but everything's really fairly priced. You're going to get a great bang for your buck as well. Go and check out Legacy House in Smithville.
Of course, he made the second one in overtime. Yeah. I know we don't want to get into it.
Buddy, let me tell you something about this kicking situation, all right? Tennessee's better than Georgia, and they lost. It's very annoying. Also, Tim Banks, maybe try zone coverage. Maybe once. Maybe let's run cover 4.
Fair.
Let's run some quarters.
Yep.
Every once in a while. Joey Aguilar, Heisman Trophy, though. Love that.
He's good.
Absolutely.
He's good. All right, let's get into it. The Week 4 UC Top 5. This is Week 4, Week 5. Haven't changed this one yet. Week 5.
This is a great start.
Week 5.
I mean, we are just
UC
in rhythm
Top
today.
5. We're almost halfway done with the regular season. Felt like we were doing the season preview.
And we still know nothing.
Yeah.
We know a couple of things. There's still a lot unknown. We're going to learn a lot this week, though.
We're going to start at number 5, work our way up. New team into the UC Top 5 this week. At number 5, still the Livingston Academy Wildcats, 4-0, undefeated on the season. They beat York Institute on Friday, 47-35. Got a big lead, and then York was able to get back into it a little bit. Still able to get the 2-score win.
Still able to get the 2-score win. A very interesting year. We're going to talk a lot about Livingston later on the show, obviously, with a huge game this week. You know, another great offensive performance. Caden Weitzel has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know the points came in different sorts of ways. It wasn't just 35 points on your defense, but it's a York team that was really struggling to score during that game. So, you know, as we look, and we're about to get to a team who jumped onto the list and jumped above them, there were a couple of flashes there that you don't love, but what you do love if you're Livingston Academy is 4-0 entering region play, and a team that was not just a, good job, guys, when we put them on the top 5 a couple of weeks ago. We said they're playing really good football. They still are playing really good football, and it wasn't just a 1-week pop on the list and bye. Now I think this is the 3rd week in a row Livingston Academy has been on the UC top 5.
Undefeated to start the season, big one with White County coming up on Friday. Of course, we'll talk about that game coming up in just a little bit. At the number 4 spot, speaking of, the White County Warriors. 3-1 to start this season. Obviously, a huge win against Tullahoma on Friday, 24-13. A Tullahoma team that was the number 8th ranked team in 5A going into last week. And obviously, they get a big win against Tullahoma, 24-13. And one of the more impressive wins that we've had across the Upper Cumberland this year.
Yeah, a tremendous victory. And it's a White County team that, and I kind of alluded to it on the Friday Night End Zone show. I said, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, it was tough loss against Saudi Daisy. Then it was what's going on with York. Then it was what's going on with Cookeville. Now it's what's going on with White County. That they got that headline win against Tullahoma. And we talked about Was Tullahoma is Tullahoma as good as we thought they were? It doesn't matter. We don't cover Tullahoma. I don't really care. They came in as a top 5 or a top 8 ranked 5A team in the state, and White County handled them wire to wire, and that football has found the formula. And I love the dedication to it, right? When we talk about, does this team have their identity? What is this team's identity? White County has their identity, and that is run through your face for 4 consecutive quarters. Control the ball, control the clock. They've limited the fumble issues. If they would have had that back in week 1, they would be 4-0 right now. They are 3-1, but they are undeniable with how well White County has played right now and an ability to go and really stomp out some momentum for a region rival coming up on Friday night in Tom Davis Memorial Stadium. So this is a White County team with an absolute dude in Cole Sims, Tucker Pinion distributing the football well, and those dudes up front, led by Lex Winfrey and Hunter Broyles, are nothing to mess with. They have found the formula. It is a winning formula, and they're going to win a lot of football games because of it. They're in the top 5. I'll be surprised if they drop off the rest of the year. And quite frankly, a team that absolutely can move further up this top 5 that is starting to get really, really, really good.
Yeah. So the White County Warriors at number 4, and like he said, obviously have some opportunities to keep on moving up this list. However, these top 3 teams, pretty good football teams as well. At number 3, the Gordonsville Tigers. They just keep on winning. They beat Liberty Creek last week 27-14. This defense is legit. It's a Gordonsville team dealing with some injuries, but overcoming them.
Yeah, I love this Gordonsville Tigers team. You talk about in this 2A region, they are starting to become the hands-down favorite in this region. And you mentioned the defense. The defense has been consistent every week. The offense, they've been a little banged up, but they're able to pop, and they had a huge explosive performance last week against Fayetteville. 27 points against Liberty Creek's defense. Not bad at all. They are also, and this is a common theme now moving up the list, they are playing a winning brand of football. Rely on that really good defense, pop a couple of explosive plays, protect the football, and you're going to win, especially when you're more talented than most teams that you're across from. This is a very talented Gordonsville team. They're starting to put it together up front. That was the question. We knew they had weapons. We knew they had the quarterback with Jay Foster. What would they look like up front? They are absolutely gelling up front, and it's a Gordonsville team. You look at the schedule, I don't see where the loss is coming from. Now, one could happen. They get Cannon County this week. You know, they are certainly enough competent teams on their schedule where if they don't play well, they can lose. But as a team sitting at 4-0, you look at that schedule and go, man, they got a chance to maybe finish the year at that 10-0 mark at the end of the regular season.
Going to be interesting, especially opening up region play this week, like he said, against Cannon County. We'll get into that coming up in a little bit as well. That brings us to number 2 on this list, the Macon County Tigers still handling business. They beat Trousdale County last week 44-7, still undefeated at 4-0.
Still undefeated at 4-0. Another one where a little bit closer maybe early, but this is what this Macon County team is going to be. They're going to be a wear you down, pull away late type of football team. That's clear through 4 games. Obviously, we're going to get a ton of answers when it comes to Macon County this week. It is undeniable. The schedule gets significantly more difficult this week and moving forward. No, they played a bunch of rivals. They just happened to be down. Westmoreland seems to be putting it together maybe a little bit. That was also the closest game that Macon County has played. They were going to beat Greenbrier by 1,000 points. They roll past Trousdale. They roll past Fulton. Now the equation changes. Watch for the start for Macon County. Can they get a faster start knowing that margin for error? And that's all that happens now for Macon County. They've had a big margin for error. They haven't had to play perfect. They still don't have to play perfect. The margin for error shrinks a little bit for Macon County now against this schedule. But they've done exactly, if you just look at the scoreboard, they've done exactly what you expect the Tigers to do. Blowout win against Westmoreland. Wasn't a 40-point game, but a comfortable win against Westmoreland. Blowout win, what would have been a blowout win. And now you fire it up, see if they're in rhythm like we've talked about for a month. They're going to have to be in rhythm starting this week.
Tigers at number 2 of Macon County. At number 1, still the Upperman Bees, as they had a dominant victory against Stone Memorial last week, 40-7. And the Upperman Bees are your number 1 team.
Yeah, talk about not leaving an opening for somebody to jump them. I mean, they went in and dominated Stone Memorial, and we said it on air. Stone Memorial is not a bad football team at all. They did not play terribly in that football game at all. Margin of error when you play Upperman, 0.
Yep.
Absolutely 0. And each and every team we're going to talk about it. Obviously, they get a big one this week against the Beach Buccaneers. You better put your hard hat on when you play this football team. And this offense is for real with weapons all over the field. The defense, was it good against Greenville? No. Greenville's also kind of the perfect storm. Greenville's offense has been unbelievable as well. And that was still a coin flip game. It's an Upperman team that's just left no gap for a team to try and jump above them so far.
So that is the Week 5 UC Top 5. Upperman still at number 1. Macon County, the number 2 team. The number 3, Gordonsville Tigers. Number 4, the White County Warriors, the new team in the UC Top 5. And Livingston Academy still at number 5. 4 and 5 squaring off this week. We'll talk about that one coming up in just a little bit. Obviously, Clay County still kind of right on the outside looking in and kind of see if they're able to maybe crack the top 5 in the next few weeks, depending on some wins that they can come up with. Where Noah was wrong, where you were right, the comment section's favorite part of the show.
Yeah, of course. They like the first part of it. Where I was wrong, and I did it as forcefully, I think, as you could on the Friday Night End Zone show. We've been doing this a while. We pride ourselves on really knowing what we're talking about. And if you would have told me the White County Warriors right now were 2-2, playing good, playing hard, starting to put some things together, I would have believed me. If you would have told me that they were 3-1 and coming off a dominant victory over Cookeville and a dominant victory over Tullahoma, I would have said, okay, White County fan, what are you talking about? As wrong as I have been on an assessment preseason of a team on this White County team, it's a credit to their coaching staff. It's a credit to the players, obviously, for going out and executing. And they have found what will work, and it will work at a very, very high level. Way wrong in DeKalb County. Pretty easy to write them off. You get shut out by Watertown, you start to think, all of a sudden they're 2-2. Mm-hmm. They made a change at quarterback, it appears. Cecil Ketchum getting in there running the football. We're going to talk a lot about DeKalb County coming up later in this great slate that we have. DeKalb County, this Region 4-4A, absolutely loaded. 2 good football teams. Going to miss the playoffs out of Region 4-4A. Absolutely wrong on those 2.
Where were you right?
Yeah, outside of White County, I think the teams that we anticipated being really good entering this year are really good entering this year. Upperman, really good. Gordonsville, really good as well. Macon County, really good as well. So not a surprise there. I think we had a pretty good gauge on those top teams. I think there's more teams that are entering that above average to pretty good territory than maybe we expected this year. And we mentioned it. This is one of those years where there was a lot of superstars who graduated, who are no longer here. Yeah. So new stars are emerging, and some from places we didn't expect, some from places that we did. But I feel like we had a pretty good gauge on that upper echelon in the UC.
So that's where Noah was wrong, where he was right. That brings us to getting into some of these games. Once again, you're tuned in to the Tuesday Night Football Show presented by Fire and Vine. We're live on the rooftop of Fire and Vine. My name's Jacob Vincent. That's Noah McKay. If you're tuned in on Facebook, let us know where you're watching from, what team you're cheering for coming up this week. Make sure you hit that share button, give us a like. If you're tuned in on YouTube, we welcome you in as well. You can comment along, you can like the stream, and subscribe to the channel over on YouTube as well. The Cookeville Cavaliers fell to Gallatin on Friday, 47-24, a game that they led 10-6 at halftime, took a 17-6 lead early on in the third quarter, and then it was downhill from there as Gallatin ripped off 41 points from that point on in the second half and won the game 47-24.
I mean, as explosive of an offensive onslaught as you're going to see is what the Green Wave had on Friday night in Cookeville. It just isn't good right now. It's not good enough. That is that simple. It is not good enough for Cookeville at 0-4, a team that did not expect to be at 0-4 entering this season. And holy smokes, do you have to win this football game this week? But it just has not been good enough. And it was different, but it was the same. It just not enough plays being made everywhere around. It's just, and that it's that simple. And it's a Cookeville team that wanted to enter that upper echelon, that wanted to be talked about differently. It just has not clicked yet. Now you are 0-1 in the only record that matters. Gallatin's a good football team. Gallatin very well may be the 2 seed. Heck, them and Green Hill probably going to have a good game for the 1 seed out of this region. So it's not that you can't make the playoffs, but something's going to have to improve. A lot of things you have to improve rapidly. Mm-hmm. But I think the good news is if you're Taylor Hennigan right now in that coaching office, they have shown flashes of winning football. First half against FRA was pretty good. First half against Gallatin was really good. Now what do you have to do to put 4 complete quarters of football together? A great opportunity this week against probably not the strongest opponent you've had since Siegel to maybe put those 4 quarters together. And then if you do, and you learn how to win, and that's something he talked about in the End Zone show, you're going to learn how to win football games. Well, the biggest way to do that is to win a football game. Cookeville has not found a way to do that yet, and it feels like they are that away. No duh. They're that away from putting together a bunch of wins. They got to win one. They got to figure out how to finish.
You've challenged them in the last couple of weeks, trying to find their identity. Of course, this was a team last year that had Blake Owen at quarterback. Obviously, he played defensively as well. Ran the football heavily with Blake Owen. Well, they ran the football heavily in the first half against Gallatin. Time of possession of over 17 minutes in that first half. And they had a 10-6 lead.
And I think that there's a lot of value in the running back by committee. You keep guys fresh. I would love to see a lot more Hunt Reese for this Cookeville offense. Blake Barrett seems like he was a little bit banged up. I think he's probably their most explosive playmaker with the football in his hands. Hunt Reese runs with a physicality that is unlike anybody else on the roster. Now, that's not to say other guys aren't capable of going in there and getting carries, but it feels to me, right, in years past, they were able to give it to Blake Owen and say, get out of the way, go block somebody. Hunt Reese is the only guy I think that you can put between the tackles, and he's going to get forward for 4 or 5 extra yards, and that's what sets the tone in a football game. I think that is offensively what Cookeville's missing. You got to catch the football. Listen, it's easy to come up here and say the quarterback play hadn't been good enough. Listen, Easton Davidson threw a seed to Caden Cisco against White County. Split 2 defenders, probably would have been a game winner. They at least would have gone for 2 and just dropped it, right? And it's not just one player.
Yeah.
Every week.
And he was able to catch a couple.
Absolutely. And Caden Cisco's a really good football player, but every week. So it's easy to just sit up here and analyst to blast the quarterback play.
Yeah.
Nothing's been perfect for this Cookeville team, but they have left meat on the bone in this passing game as well. But I like to see them, and whoever it is, maybe it's not Hunt Reese, maybe I don't know who it is. Identify your bell cow back, let him get into a rhythm and really go. Listen, they're getting paid to coach. I'm not. I understand that. But I'm on the air. It's my show. So that's what I think is missing, something that is missing from this Cookeville team. And then you can't give up those explosive plays defensively. You got worn down against Sparta. That was totally different what happened against Gallatin. Going to have to find a way to limit that. The good news is I think you got a real opportunity to do that this Friday night.
Let's talk about the game this Friday night. Cookeville winless so far this season, 0-1 in region play, going on the road to Wilson Central, who is 4-0 this season, first time since 2019. This is their first region game. It'll be presented by Watson Chevy on UCR4, myself and Coach Wes Shanks. Cavaliers 0-4 for the first time since 1994. Been a while since they haven't found a win this late in the season. The Wildcats mentioned 4-0 for the first time since 2019. However, in that season, they went 1-5 the rest of the way, and they were a first-round exit against Blackman that year. Cookeville's beaten Wilson Central the last couple of years very handily. 34-8, 51-0. Both of those have been in the final week of the regular season. However, now changes a little bit here in week 5 for Wilson Central. It's their first region game. For the Cavaliers, it's their second. And for the Cavaliers, it's a must-win.
Must-win to the team. I mean, if you don't win this game, you're probably going to miss the playoffs. It's that simple. Yep. You've got to find a way to win this football game. And listen, and this is not to take anything away from Wilson Central at all. They can only play who you played against. They have scheduled themselves to 4-0. Let's make that clear.
Yeah.
Like, if they had played a harder schedule, they would not be 4-0. With that being said, Cookeville is in absolutely no position to walk in with any sort of chest out about how good of a football team they are right now. You got to go and prove it on the football field. I mean, because at the end of the day, and I don't know who started this, but a lot of coaches say, you are what your record says you are. And Wilson Central is 4-0, and Cookeville is 0-4. And so now that should give you a little bit of back against the wall, cage animal mentality. I would expect nothing less, and I will be gravely disappointed if you do not see an extremely motivated Cookeville Cavalier team on Friday night. Right. For all the talk about what the Alamo is, this is the Alamo. Because what's the next 2 games, Jacob? Woo-wee.
Green Hill.
And Maryville comes to town. You got to win this football game. Yeah. This is the definition of a must-win. The good news is, I think, if Cookeville can play the way we saw them play at times against White County, first half against FRA, and the first half against Gallatin, that's good enough to win this football game, but you got to do that for 4 complete quarters, and if you don't do that, Wilson Central absolutely good enough to beat you.
That's the biggest thing. You got to find a way to put those 4 quarters together. Obviously, we saw it in the first half against Gallatin defensively. We're really solid offensively. We're able to move the football and put points on the board, and they even started it out in the second half as well. We saw it against FRA, even a little bit different against FRA, more in the pass game against FRA. It was tied at halftime 14-14. That's a really, really good FRA team. So we've seen that they can do it, and Coach Hennigan talked about it, and we said it, one of the few coaches that's ever called in after a loss.
The only one.
Into the Friday night end zone show. And he said it. They had a lead at halftime against Siegel. They were tied with FRA at halftime, had a lead against Gallatin. So they've had a lead or tied in 3 of their 4 games to start the year.
One score at halftime against White County.
So they've been right there in every single one. The key might be that second half.
Yep, no doubt it is. And you got to go and prove it. And Cookeville's offense has got to find a way to be explosive. They have got to generate some explosive plays down the field, get above 20 points, and see if you can go win a football game.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, I'm not picking Cookeville till they win a game. put that on the bulletin board. Like, use it as motivation. I'm picking Wilson Central to win the football game. Give me Wilson Central 21-14.
I'm going close as well. 20-14, Wilson Central wins this one. The Macon County Tigers, they beat Trousdale County in the rivalry game on Friday. 44-7, Tigers improved to 4-0 with another dominant victory, putting up 44 points. And if you take out the Greenbrier game in terms of scoring average, they're at 42 points per game through 3 full games, and I think we expect them to score at least that and maybe more against Greenbrier if they do play that one. And you kind of said it too. The schedule is what it is, taking care of business.
Well, and the interesting thing about this game, when you get beneath the numbers a little bit, and this is not a surprise, the special teams have been unbelievable. Yeah. Multiple special teams touchdowns again for this Macon County squad. And I think that is where you see the experience, this coaching staff, and obviously a gigantic weapon at kicker. And when you're kicking it, you've got a couple of good returners back deep and just a really good scheme. And I think when you got teams that are a little bit down, teams that maybe are just trying to put stuff together, that is the phase that gets forgotten a lot of the time. And this Macon County team is absolutely capitalizing on that. That changes this week when Steve Trapp's on it, because these teams around in Region 4-4A know how big of a weapon it is. Now, that's not to say they can't still generate big plays in the special teams game. You're just going to have an opponent that I think is more ready for it. Fulton couldn't even line up on a kickoff. But, even Trousdale County, they're focusing on other things, and the kicking game goes down on that list when you're figuring out, okay, what does our base offense look like? What does our base defense look like? So that changes a little bit this week. But they have done exactly what they're supposed to do scoreboard-wise. They have blown out these teams that they've faced, and we said it a month ago, we said it 2 months ago. Got to be playing your best ball 5 weeks into the season. So now 5 weeks into the season, are they playing their best ball? We have no idea. This is the last 2. There are 2 teams. This is one of them that have the big unanswered questions of what do they look like against really good competition. Everybody else, we've seen that so far. And that's not to say they're not going to rise to the occasion, that they can't win by multiple scores against DeKalb County. It's just that unanswered question and a big opportunity for the reigning champs, who have done a masterful job of being the reigning state champions, who are undefeated with 4 blowout victories, and everyone goes, so Macon County. It's pretty impressive to be able to fly under the radar like that. That could change with a big win this week against DeKalb County.
Let's talk about it. DeKalb County 2-2 on the season at Macon County, who is 4-0. This game will be on UCR3 coming up on Friday, presented by the Macon Bank and Trust Company. Tim Case, Stephen Lancaster on the call. DeKalb County, huge win on Friday against Friendship Christian School, 21-17, and they've made some changes at the quarterback spot. Cecil Ketchum is finally getting going at that running back spot. Seems like this DeKalb County team starting to find their stride a little bit here midway through the season.
This is infinitely more interesting than it was 2 weeks ago because of what you just talked about with DeKalb County. And you knew Steve Trapp was not just going to sit there and say, okay, we're going to lose by a bunch and get shut out by Watertown. That's fine. No, they were going to get on the whiteboard and make some adjustments, and they do. And Steve Trapp went on one. Get your best players the football somehow, some way. They did it with Isaac Knowles, who's now playing at Tennessee Tech. Put him in the backfield, make something happen. You've got to figure out a way to get Ryan Lyons involved, Cecil Ketchum getting rolling, and then John Hendricks is a guy that they're just going to trust to have the football in his hands. I think it's a smart move. FCS, maybe missing one of their better playmakers, doesn't matter. Still won that football game if you're DeKalb County. Infinitely more interesting because I think 2 weeks ago you would ask me about this game. I said Macon rolls. Because I think DeKalb County has a little bit of a spark, much more interesting. If you recall now, Macon County's on this long winning streak, and when did it start? Down 2 scores in the third quarter at home against DeKalb County, and they have not looked back since. Now DeKalb County goes back into Pat Parker Memorial Field for the first real test for Macon County. I'm infinitely curious in this game because if Macon County comes in, Jacob, and wins this game by 14, 21, 14 if it's really convincing, 21, 28 points, I think we all go, ooh, okay, batten down the hatches, here come the Tigers from Lafayette. If this is a dogfight game and if DeKalb County goes and wins it, all bets are off in Region 4-4A.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
I just throw everything, your preconceived notions out the window. That's why it's one of the more intriguing games on the board and a very intriguing week.
You mentioned that game last year for this Macon County team. They were coming off that loss against White County on the road in Sparta. Backs were against the wall, needed a win down at halftime. DeKalb County scores early on in that second half, down by 2 scores, and then they just went berserk. You were on that game last year. I think it was 35 unanswered points in the second half. And they ended up winning 49-27 and didn't lose after that and go on to win the 4A state title. First region game of the year, and you mentioned for Region 4-4A, we were coming into this season. Obviously, you go through the rankings. You pick who you think's going to make it through to the playoffs. We kind of had what we thought well, here comes White County.
Yep.
Here comes Livingston Academy. Now DeKalb County's playing some better football. We have no clue who's going to make it now.
Well, with how good Livingston had been, it was kind of you forget about DeKalb County for a couple of weeks. DeKalb County is absolutely going to be a factor in these games. None of these coaches want to play against Steve Trapp's team because they're going to come in and play really hard. And if they have found something, it's very interesting. Now, that being said, we talk about how they may have found something, still only scored 21 points, right? So it wasn't like they had this offensive explosion. On the other side, can Macon County continue to generate explosive plays offensively, defensively, and in the special teams? That's when they're at their best. No duh, every team is. But when Macon County is able to generate big plays in all three phases, it's when they're nearly impossible to beat. They've done that really well through 4 weeks. Will DeKalb County have some counters in the special teams game? DeKalb County has to protect the football. Macon County, they're extremely opportunistic. Kyle Shoulders, they want to rip the football out, even if you keep it on the ground, which it seems like, yes, you got Ryan Lyons on the outside, but you got to protect the football if you're DeKalb County. Probably going to be a lot more ground and pound with Hendricks and Ketchum back there and getting Lyons involved in the running game. Can Macon County rip that football out, and then can they generate explosives offensively? Can Matthew Wheely have a breakout game throwing the football? Heck, can Macon County get into the gun? Are the snap issues completely fixed in a big region game? First couple weeks of the season, they had to get under center because they could not get a shotgun snap off. You're going to have that in your bag against these Region 404A coaches. Super interested in this game. How explosive is the Macon County offense really against a defense that is going to be better? Listen, Watertown seems to have put some stuff together. Really good defensive performance last week for DeKalb County. Different matchup for DeKalb defensively, obviously, with the wing tee and then getting in the gun. As you can see, there's so many moving pieces in this game. And if you're for DeKalb County, you're thinking, yep, we can handle that. We're going to handle that. And if you're Macon County, you're thinking, what are you talking about, Noah? This is going to be all Macon County? One of you is going to be right.
Something to watch out for. DeKalb County's offense has struggled to score at times. Obviously, the 21 points last week, but they're only averaging 13 a game. Big reason why. They were shut out against Watertown 30-0 a couple of weeks ago. Macon County, you mentioned it, scoring 42 points per game in the 3 full games that they've played. A ton of size up front. Which one can step up and make some more plays in this game?
Has DeKalb County actually figured something out with John Hendricks at quarterback and Cecil Ketchum? Or was FCS a little bit hobbled, maybe overlooking them a little bit? You mentioned the offense. They didn't have a great performance week 1. But, again, you've had a quarterback change.
Had a little bit of weather that week as well.
Exactly right. You've had a quarterback change, though. That puts you into a whole different, we kind of look at you and go, okay, what do you look like now that you've changed quarterback? So this is going to be a super interesting game. And honestly, you could tell me that it's going to be a 2-point dogfight. That's a surprise. You could tell me Macon County pulls away and is able to really separate. That's why this is so interesting, because this is the first time we have an opportunity to see Macon County against a team that we know is at least competent. We don't know that yet about all the other teams that they faced. Now, that's not saying they aren't, especially Westmoreland certainly may be. But it's the first time against a team in the Upper Cumberland that we can say, all right, we know how to compare you to. We're going to learn a lot about Macon County and DeKalb on Friday night.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, Macon County has earned the benefit of the doubt to say, despite the step up in competition, they're going to continue to look really good. I think this game is tight early. Wouldn't surprise me if DeKalb County comes in, maybe gets an early lead even, but then you see Macon County do what they do. Lean on their opponent, expose some big plays later on, and able to pull away late to win the football game. Give me Macon County maybe closer on the scoreboard than people think, 28-14.
I've got a similar score. I'm going Macon County as well. I think the offense keeps doing what they've been doing, but I think DeKalb County does get a couple of scores on there. I'm going 35-14, Macon County in this one. Let's talk some Livingston Academy Wildcats. They beat York Institute last week, 47-35. First win for the Wildcats over York in quite some time. You got to go back to 2020 until this season since they last beat them. Defense optional after Livingston took a 20-0 lead early on in that game, and obviously still able to get the win by 12 points. We were talking with Coach Qualls in the Friday Night End Zone show afterwards, presented by Rico, and he said, I liked how it started. Didn't necessarily like how they responded. Got to figure out how to play with a lead. They didn't do a great job of that, but they got the win.
Yeah, let's talk quickly about York. That's exactly what you want to see about York.
Yep.
They have played a ferocious schedule so far.
Especially for a 2A.
Especially with Livingston being as good as they are. So the fact that they have now found some stuff, they found some explosiveness. That's what we saw.
Best
none of that.
offensive performance they've had.
Yeah, we saw none of that early. Landon Robbins starting to get rolling with some big plays. Nathaniel Tipton seems like he's finding his own. Now the season begins for York Institute, Bledsoe County on Friday night. Huge game for York. If they can win it, they can get a home playoff game. Gigantic game for York. So I want to mention that. For Livingston Academy, listen, Caden Weitzel is a bona fide dude. He is already hunting the all-time single-season record at Livingston Academy.
He's over halfway there.
Don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Livingston's had a bunch of good football players.
Yeah.
And Caden Weitzel, he's just a dude, right? He just finds a way to make plays. He's so instinctive. That's how he has those couple rip-out fumbles. He is so dangerous in the kicking game. Listen, if you kick it to Caden Weitzel, you deserve to lose. You do. You don't do it. Just like last year, you do not kick to Gaber Zach Borders. You deserve to lose if you do.
Jesse Gentry's got to return as well.
You do not kick it back there. You got to do something else in the special teams game because it is week after week where they pop big plays. His ability to run the football, use as a weapon on offense, legit. Now, again, this is the second team I mentioned. A bona fide, huge step up in competition this week with a team that on paper is built to give them problems because they give everybody problems right now. Does Caden Weitzel and company continue to be as explosive they are offensively against a team that is going to fly to the football and play unbelievable defense? We're going to find out, and I want to talk about it.
Let's talk about it. The White County Warriors 3-1 on the season at Livingston Academy, who is 4-0. This game will be on UCR2, presented by the Overton County Farm Bureau. Greg Cantrell, Colin Castleberry on the call. One of the biggest games in the UC this week, especially in terms of region implications. Both Region 4 4A teams obviously coming into this one. Sparta, the big win against Tullahoma last week, 24-13. And for the Warriors, they've had the Wildcats number 5 games in a row. You got to go back to 2019, the last time LA got a win. They won that game 27-12, but it's been some time.
Yeah, and first of all, there are 3 games on the board that absolutely can be high school football game of the week. This one and Smith County against Jackson County, the 2 that aren't officially the game of the week but could have been. And I'm just going to be 100% honest. When we've got Craig Cantrell in our back pocket, logistically for us as we put multiple broadcasts on, four broadcast games this week makes it exponentially easier to get each of these games covered by having this game be this on UCR2, which of course is shared to the main page with a crew that is sensational. Craig Cantrell on the microphone. Colin does a really good job as well. So just want to be clear, that's honestly about 90% of why this game is not the game of the week and our game of the week is. It makes it way easier for the broadcast logistics. That being said, I don't think it's going to hurt the crowd. It's not going to hurt the crowd in this building. This should be, I will be extremely disappointed if it's not, the most rowdy Tom Davis Memorial Stadium in that new stadium. It should be a madhouse, and they should have an impact on the football game. So many different things we can get into within this matchup, Jacob. The stylistic matchup, so interesting. We know this is the best team, bar none, period, full stop, that Livingston Academy has faced this year. Get that straight. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and White County is playing an elite brand of football. This is a gigantic test for the Livingston front, offensively and defensively. But offensively is where I go to first, because if this White County front controls this game the way they have the last 3 weeks of the season, Livingston cannot win the game. If White County dominates in the trenches, Livingston cannot win this game. It is that simple. Now, Lex Winfrey, Hunter Broyles and company, they're going to get their wins, right? They're going to make plays. But you cannot get bullied the way the last 2 opponents for White County have been bullied off the line of scrimmage. And then conversely, what does Caden Weitzel do against a White County defense that, yes, we talk about that front. Eli Smith running around the back of that defense. JoJo Dowell running around in that secondary. They've got some speed back there, and Eli Smith in particular is a great baseball player. He is so instinctual with where he's going. I don't know what the game plan for Sparta will be to try and slow down Caden Weitzel, but I have a hard time believing that David Foster is not going to come in with some sort of a game plan to deploy somebody to be watching him wherever 12 goes on that football field. So those are the 2 things. Can Livingston hang in the trenches? And then their defensive line against that White County, I mean, if you're White County, they have found it. They're going to drain 8 minutes off the clock, have a 12, 15-play drive, finish it with a touchdown, say thank you very much, and then go get ready to play defense. Livingston has to find a way to combat that, and then White County has to find a way to combat Caden Weitzel. It's such a good matchup. It really is.
Of course, for the Wildcats, got to play a lot cleaner than they did last week against York Institute, and Goose in the comments, he'll be there, Absolutely. So he'll have great coverage coming to that and some video coverage as well. But for this Wildcats team, they play a little bit cleaner than they did against York Institute. And you mentioned Caden Weitzel. He's doing it offensively. He's getting it done defensively and in the special teams. You got to really focus on him in all 3 facets of the game for White County. Offensively, they figured it out. They're not scoring a ton of points, but when you're holding the football for as long as they do, they're having it for over half. I mean, Coach Dodgen was giving us updates last week against Tullahoma. Had it for over 14 minutes in the first half against them.
you don't have to score a lot of points if the game has limited possessions, right? It almost turns it into, to use a video game analogy, it's like they turned it on to 4-minute quarters, right? And that also puts pressure on your opponent in some ways you may not think about, because if you are an opponent and you can't get off the field and the other team has it, especially they end in points, and they have it for 8, 9, 10 minutes, you know, man, this may be the only time I touch the football in this quarter, in this half. I mean, Cookeville had 2 drives and a half last week, and that forces you maybe into trying to do some things you wouldn't normally do and can force you into some mistakes against a defense that's playing really well as well. They have shortened the game, and so you're right. They are not getting into the 30s outside of the York game, but you don't have to when the game is a lot shorter, and that's exactly what White County has done. They've done a great job of playing clean football for the most part. That's the other thing. When you play this style, you can't afford those holdings up front. You can't afford, a silly personal foul penalty to put you behind the sticks. But there were a bunch of 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 against Tullahoma. They keep it on the ground and they move it, and that's because this offensive line is physical, and Cole Sims is such a physical runner. He's not gigantic in stature, but he is such a physical runner, very different in style than Caden Weitzel. Not to say Caden Weitzel isn't physical, but, man, he's so elusive in space. Cole Sims is not afraid to put his shoulder down and drive into somebody and get 3 or 4 extra yards, and within this offense, that is so valuable. They know what their identity is. And Livingston, listen, the only way you can win if you're Livingston Academy, you got to find a way to bow your neck up on 4 straight run plays against an offensive line that is bigger in stature than you multiple times and get off the field. It's a lot easier said than done. It's why it's so effective what we've seen this White County team do.
Who are you going with?
I was just getting started talking about this game. That's fine. No, we'll talk about it on Friday as well. I've been so impressed with the brand of football that White County plays. I feel like I have the unanswered question still with Livingston. What does it look like against this sort of team? Matchup-wise, I think it favors White County. I think it's a good football game, but I do like White County in a similar fashion to what we've seen, just handling the clock and taking care of business that way. Give me the Warriors 28-14.
That's exactly the score I went with as well. Kind of similar fashion. Obviously, it's going to be tough at Tom Davis Memorial Stadium, and as you said, expected to be a packed Tom Davis Memorial Stadium, and it will absolutely have a factor in that game. But with the way that White County's been running the football, with as stout as their defense has been, offense is going to be hard to come by for the Wildcats. I like Sparta in this one as well, 28-14. Let's talk about the Upperman Bees. They beat Stowe Memorial last week in the high school football game of the week, 40-7, as they improved to 3-1. Another dominant performance, and got a win in region play.
Yeah, it was a very clinical performance. I mentioned I think Stowe Memorial is a good football team. If you tell me Stowe Memorial ends the year as the 2 seed, I don't think that's a crazy prediction to make. We talked about how bonkers Region 4-4A is. They may end up missing the playoffs because of how good this region is. But, I think Stone's a good football team. I think Upperman's an elite football team right now. And really, for me, it comes down to they have so many weapons. Now, they have one of the alpha males of our species in Tennessee high school football at quarterback. They have another one of those at tight end with Colton Johnson. Gunnar Block and Bronston Chaffin are absolutely on the same page. This offensive line has moved everybody. Listen, what gets lost in the Greenville game because of how well Greenville ran the football, Upperman's offensive line absolutely moved the ball virtually at will against a massive Greenville front who may be the biggest front in 4A football. Not saying they're the best team in 4A football. Obviously, that's Alcoa, but they are gigantic up front, and Greenville may be the second best team in 4A football. And Upperman may be the third or second as well. Those teams are really evenly matched. They have so many weapons. Elijah Fitz touches the football 3 times. Pass breakup, 102-yard pick six, 80-yard catch and run touchdown. And he's they also have Elijah Fitz. So many Carmine Phillips. They have so many different things that they can deploy at you. I can imagine it's not fun turning on the tape on a Saturday or Sunday and trying to figure out what you need to slow down because you have a Mr. Football caliber guy at quarterback and then a host of great players around him. And defensively, outside of the Greenville game, been really, really good every week. They're playing great football. Stone, listen, they're going to rout Loudon. Hi, Loudon. No, you love me. They're gonna handle Loudon, I think, this week. Not writing him off at all. This game much more about how elite Upperman is right now than anything about Stone Memorial.
You kind of talked about it on the Friday Night End Zone show as well. For Stone Memorial, we've seen this from a few teams this year. Move it well between the 20s, just can't quite cash in.
And that has been the case, really. Upperman's defense under Adam Kane has always kind of been that way. They're in that 3-3 stack. You can find some stuff.
Especially the way they start their special teams, which they've changed a little bit this year, too.
But their ability about the high red area, about the 30-yard line is where it becomes very, very tough sledding. And, heck, it became tough sledding for even Greenville. Greenville's just so good they were able to make some plays happen with their quarterback especially. But Farragut kind of did that at times. It ends up being statistically they give up like 100 yards a game, but there's never a moment in the game where you thought they could lose. There just never was a moment, and that is the brand of football they play. It is bend but don't break to a T. It can give you some optimism, and then it can get stamped out really quickly because you have a end goal play from the 8-yard line and a pick six goes the other way. It's like, what do you have to do? I mean, they're just really, really good.
We'll talk about Stone Memorial and Loudon a little bit more coming up in just a little bit. Before we get there, let's talk about the high school football game of the week presented by Gentry's Power Equipment and Mayberry's Furniture. Beach at 2-1 at Upperman, 3-1 on the season, now 1-0 in region play on the UCR Facebook page and YouTube channel. Noah, Jeremy, Hallie will be on the call of this one. The Bees, again, starting to look like a juggernaut. Back-to-back dominant performances on both sides of the ball. Beach coming in, familiar face. Kane Powell at quarterback for them. Obviously was at Smith County a few seasons ago. He'll be playing baseball at Kentucky next year, but he's playing some football right now and playing pretty well for these Buccaneers. Bucks 2-1 on the season, beat East Nashville last week 22-19. I know you've had a chance to look at this Beach team. Got some good size, got some big dudes on that offensive front, and should be an interesting ball game.
You have a tackle who's committed to Penn State. This is maybe the premier game in the state on Friday night when you talk about across the classifications. Obviously, everyone knows Caden Powell in the Upper Cumberland for the most part. Great at Smith County and now been really good at Beach. But Shelton Swaffer, he's their tailback, committed to ETSU. Really, really good. They got a wide receiver as well. Brock Miller on the outside, Jeremy Laster as well. This is a Beach team with weapons. This is a really, really good matchup. And for Upperman, 0-1 now in your measuring stick games, right? You went to Greenville, lost. This is your second one. Can they find a way to win this game? They get it at Billy C. Rogers. Obviously, that's a big deal. This is going to be a really high-level football game, and if you like physical power running, probably going to like this game because this is a team, especially with Caden Powell when he's running the football, that will barrel in and just try to run through your face. He is such a physical runner. He is a sturdy kid. Just a physical runner. And then they've got speed to boot alongside of it. The downfield passing game, it's very interesting because they hit the shot plays, but it is a lot of between the tackles. And when you got an offensive line like that, it is not as big in stature as that Beach offensive line, but it is, or as that Greenville offensive line, I should say. Very few teams have a 6'5", 350-pound left tackle, but they're going to average over 280 across the board. It's going to be two big physical offensive lines. Can Upperman handle the power run better than they did a couple of weeks ago at Greenville? If they can, they got a good chance because all that's true about Beach. Man, this Upperman offense is a juggernaut. With the Webb game, which got called at halftime in which they were going to score over 40 points. I think that's pretty easy to say, averaging 35 points per game, including that half of football. You take that one out, they're well over 40 points per game. They have punted 3 times, and you have played Greenville and Webb alongside Farragut and Stone, and they have punted 3 times this year. There is one way to beat this team, in my opinion. I have not looked at Alcoa, so take that out if they ever play Alcoa. It's a shootout. That's what Greenville did. The only way you can beat them is a shootout. I think that's exponentially tougher to do in Billy C. Rogers Stadium. Beach going to have to try and do that. I think the way to beat them is 42-40. We'll see if that can happen. For Beach, I think it needs to happen because I don't see very many people slowing down this Upperman offense.
Yeah, Cameron in the comments saying watch out for DK Williams for the Bucs defense. Solid player on that side.
Yeah, and they've got some guys in the middle of that defense as well. And at that linebacker spot, he mentioned DK Williams, their Mike linebacker. He's a, this is why it's so fun because we talk about big quarterbacks. Both teams have a big quarterback. Colton Johnson has 45 tackles.
No play.
45 tackles.
3.5 games.
And there's no give him a free tackle there. He is in the backfield at every play, and he's been able.
Petey's doing stats. We know he's true to it.
And something that's different than the Greenville game, Upperman has figured out something with the other 2 linebackers. They have become significantly more aggressive defensively the last 2 weeks. You saw it against Farragut. They did the same thing against Stone. They are blitzing all over the place. And you don't typically now, Blake Satterfield, you think about that. When he came in, they blitzed a lot last year. They're backing Adam Kane's 3-3 stack defense, which is typically cover 3, because of that athleticism they have with Johnson, Jude Fitzpatrick next to him. And then here's the big weapon on defense. Tate Poolrath is a big weapon. Had 2 more sacks last week.
Fast.
He is a quick player. He can drop into the secondary and play coverage, but they send him off the edge, and they can blitz you from 2 different angles. it is a very creative defense, and I think that's something they probably got on the board with after the Greenville game and said, we're going to have to become more aggressive. Can't sit back and let other teams dictate. Now, Beach, offensive line-wise, they're going to be very good at communicating up front. If you can't tell, high-level football game. We're getting into some of that. But Upperman's bringing it from all different angles, which is different than what we saw the first couple of weeks of the season. What do we know about Adam Kane? He's not just going to sit back and say, okay, there's a formula to beat us. We're just going to accept that. No, he's going to get in there and make some adjustments. We've seen that. Now they get it put to the test, though, against the best team they faced since Greenville.
And you talk about a high-level football game. Both these head coaches, very high-level coaches. You look at Coach Anthony Crabtree, who's been with the Bucs for 21 years now. He's 189-66, only 11 shy of 200 wins at one school. Pretty solid. He's won 2 state titles, 09 and 2012. He's been to the championship game 2 more times in 2017 and 2022 just in recent years. So he's coming in, obviously, with the pedigree. You know this team is going to be well coached. We know Upperman's going to be well coached. Should be a really, really fun football game.
Adam Kane averaging over 10 wins a season as head coach in his 8th year in Baxter. I mean, you're exactly right. It's going to be a really exciting football game and an opportunity for the Bucs, right? Because they went on the road, and listen, watching the Greenville game was different, or a Green Hill game, I should say, was different than just scoreboard watching, because there was a lot of what is Beach doing offensively. Yes, they have a backup quarterback they really like as a passer. They bring him in sometimes for Powell. But it wasn't like they were just alternating series. They barely touched the ball early against Green Hill because it was a drive. Then Green Hill chewed the clock. Then there was a couple of special teams turnovers. There was a muff punt for Beach. Next time they touched the football was late in the second half or in the second quarter, and then they were down in a big hole. Green Hill opens up the second half with an onside kick. So, but scoreboard-wise, got a little bit embarrassed by a good Green Hill team. Now they have an opportunity against a 4A team on the road to try and right that wrong. You're going to get a very motivated team. You don't get when Caden Powell is your quarterback. Caden Powell has been in the Upper Cumberland. I know it's a frustration point for the Bees that they always get every team's best shot. You got it against Greenville. Sorry, you're going to get it against Beach as well, right? So I think it's going to be a very, very fun football game to watch. Offensively, though, can Beach keep up? They can generate explosive plays. They can ground and pound. Can they keep up? Listen, if you stop Upperman's offense, I'd tip your cap to you. I don't know how you do it. With 6'5" Colton Johnson running down the seam, and Bronson Chaffin who can throw it in a bucket, and Gunner Block, and Elijah Fitz who can run by anybody. Elijah Fitz stride for stride with a kid going to Clemson and a kid going to Tennessee back-to-back weeks. If you stop it, congrats. Can Beach keep up offensively is going to be very interesting to see.
First ever meeting between these two schools.
Love it.
Should be a lot of fun. Who do you like in it?
Yeah, listen, I love this game, because you're already seeing it online on the website that shall not be named. The Beach fans, they're going to roll. The Upperman fans feeling very confident because both teams are really good, and both teams typically roll. Billy C. Rogers Stadium will not have a letdown from Upperman after losing that game a couple of weeks ago. I think you get a very motivated Upperman team, and I think this offense is so explosive. I think they may be a little bit more multiple. All right, delete that. A little bit more multiple. And I think ultimately, Bronsden Chaffin does Bronsden Chaffin things with these host of weapons. Give me Upperman to win this football game. I think they're getting into the 40s again. Give me Upperman 42-21.
That's the exact score I picked.
Wow.
Now, I'm going solely
twice.
off of based how you've talked about this team, and obviously Beach coming into this one as well.
And I think Beach is very good.
Yeah. Upperman's really, really, really good.
Yeah, I think Upperman is elite.
Like that's more of it.
I think Upperman is elite.
Yeah.
And I think they are unbelievably explosive, and I do think they – now – there will be some opportunities for opponents with how aggressive this defense is to maybe capitalize on that, and a team like Beach could absolutely do it. But you got to capitalize like 6 times to keep up with this offense. We'll see if they can do it. Maybe they can. And if any team can that's left on the schedule, it would be these Beach Buccaneers. That's why it's the game of the week. It's going to be a lot of fun on Friday night.
So once again, that's the game of the week. Main UCR Facebook page and YouTube channel. On UCR2, Livingston Academy and White County. UCR 3 will be Macon County and DeKalb County, and UCR 4 is Cookeville and Wilson Central. All 4 games, those last 3 are all region games, huge games, and obviously the high school football game of the week, one of the best games across the state of Tennessee. Let's talk about some other games going on across the Upper Cumberland as well. This one is huge for both of these teams. Jackson County at 3-1 on the season, going to Smith County in the hole, who is now 1-3. They've lost 3 games in a row, desperately looking for a win. And this one's a region game.
And wholly uncompetitive last week. Smith County against Westmoreland on the road. Entirely uncompetitive. Very similar to last year's matchup. Has this Jackson County team made that step forward? Remember, it was close for a while, and then Smith County pulled away late. Smith County played a tough schedule. They weren't able to put it together. Not as tough of a schedule so far for Smith County, especially given the taste in your mouths after that game last week against Westmoreland. Is Jackson County ready? Can they play like they played on Saturday against Clay County? We're in a big hole early against Clay County, came back, scored 9 unanswered on Saturday. It's like, man, if that game goes another half, feel like they'd have a chance to win it. They got to play that way because this is the Alamo again for these Smith County Owls. If they don't win this game, pretty much your hopes of a home playoff game, we look at that, are gone. You look at that Cannon County game, you go, that could be a little bit tough, and all of a sudden start slotting. You win this game, you say, you won the game that mattered. And all of a sudden, we all refocus our attention towards that Week 11 game with your cross-county rival. So, big game for both teams here. A stepping stone game potentially for Jackson County. And a hey, don't forget about us game for Smith County. It's the third in that group that absolutely could have been in the game of the week. Considering the slate in some future weeks, I kind of wish some of these games were put in different spots. But alas, they were not. But this is going to be a really good game. And we've already done our expert predictions. I may change them as I did last week. Ended up being right on one of those changes. I think Jackson County going to get more love than maybe they have in years past when it comes to this matchup.
So Jackson County at Smith County coming up this week. This is a region game and a big one to get underway for both those squads. Stone Memorial, a non-region game this week. They're on the road at Loudon. Now, they played at Loudon last year. First round of the playoffs, and they were up pretty big in the first half. No Noah Potter in that game. Ultimately lost, and then we saw what White County did to Loudon in round 2. It did not go well for them. But Stone Memorial, 3-1 this season, coming off the loss against Upperman. Loudon is 2-2, and maybe a chance to exercise some demons from a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would be stunned if this is not the most motivated Stone Memorial team you can see. They got to get it back rolling the way we saw them play for the majority of this season so far and show that they are absolutely still a factor in Region 4-4A. It's a Loudon team. You mentioned it. No Noah Potter last year. They have Noah Potter. They win that football game. Point blank, period. So a revenge game for Stone. I expect a very motivated Panthers team, and I expect to see Stone go down there and win that football game.
Clay County 3-1 on the season, looking to get another win in the win column against Trousdale County on the road, who is 1-3.
Friday night game. We thought it was the Thursday night game for a moment. Clay County by a lot. They're just better. And Clay County, look at the schedule. They're about to rattle them off. They lost that first week game. That's a long time ago. And that team they lost to
they're still undefeated.
Good. They look real good. Watch out. The Bulldogs are starting to absolutely roll.
Gordonsville, they're undefeated to start the season, 4-0. They're at Cannon County, who was 3-1 to start the year. They're only lost to PCA a few weeks ago. This is a region game, and the first opportunity in region play. Gordonsville moving up from 1A last year into their new region this year. First opportunity to get a win.
Antennas poke up on this game because Cannon County, listen, when you lose your coach, I don't know, what was it, 3 weeks before the season starts? I think everybody just decides you're going to be a tire fire. Absolutely not the case. And you got to credit this coaching staff and these players. They bought into a system, and they are playing winning football as well. It's a Lions team that I think is good enough to give a scare to Gordonsville. You rely on that defense, though. I think the Tigers got a really good chance of handling business in this one. But that isn't it. As you look at the board, we know where we think the close games are going to be. We talked about that. A game that could sneak up and be closer, not because of Gordonsville, but I think people may be still a little bit asleep on what this Cannon County team is. You mentioned the one loss to D2 PCA. That game was at MTSU as well. Cannon County, I think, may be better than people think. And I say that to say, if Gordonsville handles business in a very impressive fashion, it's a very good win for this Tigers team.
Let's talk these York Institute Dragons. 0-4 on the season. They're opening up region play on the road at Bledsoe County, who is 3-1. This was the game last year that got them going. They had to open up region play against Bledsoe County, able to get a couple of wins score, and it was pretty much history after that last season in the regular season. Bledsoe County, 3-1, have had a good start to the year. Only losses to a good Sequatchie County team by just a couple of scores. Chance here for the Dragons to maybe right the ship a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, and the team that was perhaps most guaranteed to get better as the season went on because of how young they were all the way across that offensive line and the schedule that they played. They've shown flashes. Meigs County game, more competitive than the weeks previous. Obviously, lost to Livingston. That's a very good Livingston team, as we've seen. They were able to generate some explosive plays. Can they parlay that into a big win? Or even, if this game is a one-score game, I still look at York and think, okay, they're going to be good. Now, listen, unfortunately, they still play DeKalb County, and they still play Upperman.
And Marion County.
Yeah.
In a region game.
You win this game, though, you're probably going to have a home playoff game. And that is what it comes down to. And you can have a home playoff game at 2-8.
Yeah.
And you got to win this game and you got to win one other, and you'll have a home playoff game. So I think that it's a York team. This could be your shocker around the state that York competes better than people think against Bledsoe County.
Grundy County 4-0 on the season at Pickett County 0-4. Two teams in different spots. Cumberland County 0-4 at Howard this week, who is 1-2.
Let's go. Jets got a real chance to go win a football game on the road at Howard. They got a real chance to go win that game.
So
run the football.
So they got two dudes who can run it.
Run the daylights out of the football.
So that's what we got coming up this week. Mentioned the 4 broadcast games. Those are the other games we'll be paying attention to throughout the week as well. Of course, coming up Friday morning, the UC Game Day Morning Show presented by Watson Chevy at 9 o'clock. We'll get you through and ready for all the games coming up Friday. And then after the games, the Friday Night End Zone Show. We finally had a normal Friday of football.
It was so fun.
It was.
We had coaches.
Exactly.
Imagine
3
that.
coaches calling. It was great.
Because people were awake.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it.
Let's do it again. Friday Night End Zone Show presented by Rico after the games around 11 o'clock or so, or maybe a little bit earlier if we get done in time like we did last week. And then, of course, we'll be right back here a week from today, 7 o'clock, on the rooftop of Fire and Vine. We'll get you ready for Week 6. We'll recap all of Week 5. We're here midway through the regular season.
We know what the game of the week is going to be next week. It's a dandy, but
Yes.
I'll leave it out there.
Yes.
Just let people guess what it's going to be.
Yes.
It's going to be a great game next week.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to all the sponsors for making everything that we do possible here at UCR. Keep it tuned in to UpperCumberlandReporter.com. Goose doing some great stuff coming up there on the website and the social media pages as well. Of course, we'll be on there with the broadcast coming up later this week. That's Noah McKay. I'm Jacob Vinson saying so long for now. We'll talk to you later this week.